commentator. Roy, good evening.
Good evening, Nigel.
So early December, we were expecting the big grand statement on how we're going to tackle the backlog. That was nudged forward until today. Today it's not happening. Some say it's a row with the Treasury over money, although they seem to dispute that. But surely, and please tell me I'm wrong, but surely to blame the Omicron wave, that's not much of an excuse, is it?
No, it isn't. It's ridiculous. I know for a fact that the NHS has written a plan. I know for a fact that the targets have been agreed. I know for a fact it's been agreed by the senior NHS people, some of the chief executives of the big trusts. I know for a fact, for a lot of the facts of what's in it, and I know for a fact that it's been agreed. So it's been parked. There have been a couple of delays. I think one of the delays was attributable to the early days of the Omicron surge, and no one was really sure whether or not when the plan would come into action. But the thing is, Nigel, that a lot of the trusts now are back to pre-COVID activity levels anyway. So, I mean, we've got the plan. The government's come up with the money. They're just waiting for the G and go to get going on it. And frankly, we're getting to the point now where I'm starting to think, well, why do we need a plan? We know we've got a load of operations to do. The NHS will roll up its sleeves and get on with it as best it can. You know, what else can it do? It's ridiculous. I can't see any reason at all why the plan hasn't been published, other than the other excuse, which was, well, there were three excuses. One, it was Omicron, COVID, nonsense. Yep. One, it was the Treasury disagreed with the plan and the targets weren't tough enough. Not true. The money is there. Three, there's a row between number 10 Downing Street and number 11 Downing Street, and that's probably where the truth is.
Well, there are lots of rows going on in Downing Street, it would seem.
Well, yeah.
But Roy, you know, since you and I first spoke when I joined here at GB News, we've seen the waiting list go up. We're told it's now 6 million plus. I mean, is there any realistic plan to attack that waiting list?
Well, look, the plan itself, as I understand it, it's a 3 to 5 year recovery program. Here's the problem, Nigel. The NHS has the capacity to do about 10 million operations a year. Normally, 2 million of those are emergencies, accidents, aortic stuff, you know, the really life-threatening. It has to be done. The 8 million are what we call elective procedures. These are things like hips and knees and all the stuff that's on the waiting list. Now, the NHS has the capacity to do that. Now, on top of that, because of COVID, and for reasons we understand, there's a backlog now of about 6, maybe 7 million. On top of that, there's what I would call the Donald Rumsfeld waiting list. That's the known unknowns. These are the people we know haven't come forward. We don't know how many there are, but we know there's a shed load of them. So, you know, it could be 2 million, it could be 5. There are various estimates. Let's take the low estimate at 2 million. So if we've got 7 million people we know are waiting, if we know during the course of a year we've got to do 8 million anyway, 7 and 8 is 15. If you add Donald Rumsfeld's group on top of that, you're looking at 17 million. And then that's this year. And then next year, there's going to be another 8 million and another 8 million. So by the time the election comes, the NHS is going to have to do about 30 million operations.
So what you're saying is actually, unless something radically changes, this backlog is going to get worse.
Yes, I mean, the capacity issue is the problem and the workforce issue is the problem. COVID's sort of given us a collective amnesia. We forget about what the NHS was like before COVID. It had had 10 years of flatline funding. Health Education England had pretty much put the brakes on training. There was no new capital investment in kit or equipment. The NHS had went into COVID with fewer beds per head of population than most of Europe and fewer staff per head of population than most of Europe.